Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
And welcome back to another episode of Inside the Trenches. Y'all know how we do it over here. We have ourselves a good time every Monday, 6:30 p.m. right here live at the Loyola Studios. I got my co-host CL NOLA in the building, Lil Chris in the building. Y'all know Lil Chris representing. And I know a lot of y'all out there follow me on the social media, and y'all might have saw the news for today. Well. And look, on this one, look, D, y'all can cut the music down just a little bit because you know how y'all they do the announcements. They cut the music down just a little bit. There you go. That was pretty good. That was all cute.
Very dramatic.
That was pretty dramatic. So we want to welcome on board our new partner, the Gordon McKernan Law Firm, baby. Shouts out to G. McKernan. Get Gordon, get it done. Yes, indeed. Get Gordon, get it done. So shouts out to them, the McKernan family. We go back like 4 flats, so I'm excited to be their community partner. This is something that's going to be fun for sure, because y'all know Gordon love to have a good time.
For sure.
Y'all see him all over the city. You see him all over the state, but for certainly, big ups to him for joining the Inside the Trenches crew. Y'all see Lil Chris got his G hat on. We got the G football in the building.
For sure.
And got my Get Going shirt on. CL, we didn't even talk, you know what I'm saying? It's the same same deal. So shouts out to him as well. And for sure, big ups. Y'all know that thing fitting right. This 3X Slim right here. Shouts out to Health Nut System. Dr. Kendra, you a real one. Your products are working great. Look at CL, he over there. You know what I'm saying, stunning?
Little something. Appreciate you, Doc.
You know what I'm talking about. But if you, like us, want to be able to get your nutrients in, being able to get the products to, fulfill your vitamin needs for the day, it's all in her all-natural products. be sure to visit Health Nut System today at stillbody.org. Well, guys, to say the least, this has been a very interesting football season to kick off here, preseason, should I say, week 2. Everything from Teddy Two Gloves out there looking like he's 2 years playing in the league, to some rookies really shining. Henderson from the Patriots. You know, we're going to get into that, but I think the order of business and what everybody out there want to know about and want to talk about is when the Saints come marching in, baby. And one thing that was interesting about yesterday's game, and y'all be sure to hit me up at BigFave504. Y'all can also comment on what we're talking about right now live. We're here at the Baton Rouge's ESPN Baton Rouge's 104.5 YouTube live channel. Feel free to chime in on it. I know I can't wait to hear from our panel here about how the game went and their thoughts. So first and foremost, the Saints had a tie. It's been a while since we've seen one of them down here. The Saints had a tie 17-17. That tie says a lot. It covers a lot of ground. We're going to jump right into it. But there was some big news out of New Orleans this week. We've talked about this on the show for a while, especially with now a crowded room on the defensive line. Not even the game was freshly over. Jacksonville trades for Khalid Saunders. I think we get an offensive lineman.
Yeah, backup center.
In place of him. So his time here was felt. I mean, everybody know about the big interception when he showed he had that big boy speed, baby.
Kansas City
against his
Monday
old
night.
team, right? So
I was there.
that was you did go to that one. See, that'll be at half of the games, bro. I'm telling you. I can imagine. I know he was in the building yesterday. I saw you messing with that dude over there that was drunk, slipping on the floor, fighting them two dudes.
That wasn't me,
You
baby.
wouldn't filming that? I'm just
no.
kidding.
That was crazy.
That was
We
wild.
don't allow such things in our section. But I understand that, things get out of hand, and, we would always want guys to keep the cooler head because obviously outside is 95 degrees, inside is a great 70 degrees. Gentlemen, relax. It's just preseason.
It's just preseason, and we're going to dive into the game. But I want to get y'all thoughts on Khalid Saunders' time here. In my opinion, on a struggling run team, he kind of gave us that big man presence down there.
Right.
Obviously, we brought in a friend of the show, Devon Gotchow, who put in some time in the league like him, 9-year veteran. Both guys had spent a lot of time in the league. But, sometimes things happen for the better. You have a young line in Jacksonville, guys like Mason Smith up front. So, CL, your thoughts on Saunders' time here and, the move for the Saints.
Well, shouts out to Saunders because he was a light-minded guy, fun-loving guy. But the one thing that wasn't fun was the fact that we were bottom in rushing defense last year. And unfortunately, he was a part of that with the crowded room, with the bringing in of a Devon Gotchaw, with the bringing in of a Bullet. We had a crowded room, but at the same time, we got guys that were we have guys that are particularly brought in to stop the run. Like I said, Gotchaw led the league in run stops behind the line of scrimmage last year, so that's a no-brainer. And unfortunately, we had Will Clapp go down, our backup center, and what we struggled with last year was having depth at the offensive line position. So we immediately, once again, I do have to shout out Coach Moore in the organization because when we have a need, we immediately address it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. And unfortunately, Colin Sanders got caught up in it, but we do have a backup center now that can play backup center if we need be. But all in all, we just had to get better at the run, and he wasn't doing that.
What you think, Chris?
Absolutely. Shout out to Kalen Saunders. And I think this was the best trade for both sides because we was in need for a center. One of them got hurt in the Chargers game, so that was unfortunate. So I think, Jacksonville needed a D tackle too. So I guess it was just a fair, good trade for both sides, and that's really how I feel about it. Hate to see him leave, but I think it was for the best for both teams.
Right, especially with the debt, right,
Yeah.
Chris?
Well, the only wild thing is, I know Mr. Saunders felt some kind of way about us getting rid of him, but I don't know if he was mad because he could have caught the plane with Jacksonville on the way back as fast as we traded him. But once again, the address of stopping the run. The most important thing to Coach Moore and Coach Staley is stopping the run. And we address that. We want to be that type of team, and this is the type of trades that we have to make to conceal that.
Yeah, and I'm with y'all. A necessary move. I think when you look at his impact and what the line is now, he was second on the depth chart to rotate in, and he's a starter in this league. So here's a situation where it's better for him. He has the experience, and with Jacksonville with the young line. Just to talk about the game, I'll start with quarterback play. That's where we have to start. Y'all were actually at the game. I watched it on television. Just to do the numbers for the game or tell the numbers from the game, Spencer Rattler was 18 for 24, 199. He averaged 8.3 yards. He did throw an interception, but he also threw a touchdown. Tyler Shuck, 9 for 12, 66 yards. He averaged 5 yards. So the quarterback play for the most part wasn't the best. 199 is the average mid to low, especially for a mobile quarterback. But your quarterback's on a good days north of 250 passing yards. Let's just stay right there for a second, guys, because right now we are in the middle of a quarterback battle. Right. I've seen Saints fans already. I saw this one dude on his Instagram. He was watching the game, and I think a pick was thrown. He went to his computer to see, and I know I'll probably have our listening audience laughing their tail off too, to see available quarterbacks. Let's see who we can get. And I have faith in Spencer Rattler, but I do see a need to potentially bring in a backup quarterback or see. That's why Cleveland, I think, we look at two quarterback rooms that are trying to figure it out. You think about Cleveland. Cleveland has, they just announced recently that they're going to start Joe Flacco. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's the most experienced, and if he could still spin, that's who you want to roll with. For sure. But I don't really want to get into the rest of it because, you got Kenny Pickens. Yes, he has experience, but he wasn't on my fantasy football team. And
I don't think he's anyone's fantasy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, but back to our room before we get into Cleveland. When we go around the league, we got to stop there first. CL NOLA. I got two Chris's.
Two Chris's.
But, okay, in regards to this quarterback room, your thoughts? I know.
Well, it's obvious that we are slightly younger in the New Orleans quarterback room. We have a second year potential start and a rookie. I am one of those people that feel like if we were to do anything at the quarterback position, we would go get a veteran quarterback. Dare I say a Jameis Winston, dare I say a Russell Wilson, because of the situation that's brewing in New York with Dart and the calling for Dart already. They're calling for Dart already. But anyway, I digress. The one reason why the sponsors, and thank you, Gordon, for getting it done. One reason why the sponsors make sure I'm at every game is because I tell you the fabric of the game, what the feeling is that happens inside of that dome in every respected stadium. Yesterday, honestly, guys, I think we became a team yesterday.
Real talk.
We were down, if I'm not mistaken, 17-9, and we kind of galvanized. We were okay with it, but at the same time, we came out in the second half and decided, especially when we put Rattler in. We know Shuck had a rough starting with the, I believe it was a intentional grounding, then a sack. So the gentleman had a rough start, and that's understandable, and he got it together. But when Rattler came in, I think to a man, he decided that he wasn't going to let the play call dictate his energy. Correct. He wasn't going to let the play call dictate his aggressiveness. He came out swinging and brought us back, obviously, throwing the touchdown to 17 in the corner, and then obviously running the 2-point conversion in. So I say we became a team today because we all galvanized together. Even in that dome, the people that actually stayed for the fourth quarter, and I had my little boy in there, so he made me stay. He made me stay. So to actually see us come back, I believe we became a team.
So, Chris, when you start thinking about the atmosphere, because y'all two were there. CL hit on a great point. The dome was electrifying, and I'm pretty sure that was in the fourth quarter, maybe the end of the fourth quarter, when Spencer Rattler started to show some type of controlling hope of this offense. What that dome was like, brother, in there for the fourth quarter.
Oh, my goodness. Especially that last play when Sanker caught the pick and started running it back.
Yeah.
Bro, that was hype. That was
People
hype.
was running.
Like, that was probably the loudest I heard the dome in a while. That was hype. Honestly, I thought he stepped out of bounds with 1 second left, but we're going to talk more about that.
Right.
Well, what I wanted to dive into too, and this is just from my observation watching the game on television. I mean, you can hear the noise. You look for, and I remember this at LSU, y'all, when we were competing for spots on the defensive line, and we had some, because whenever there's a class that flows out, we got to see who's going to be the next guys.
Right.
And I saw that yesterday with the Saints. You look at this receiving core, Chris Olave, you know, he doesn't, we've said this on this show several times, he doesn't really give me wide receiver one vibes.
Numbers either.
Yeah, I think number two, he would do it, right? He kind of puts me in the mind frame of a Lance Moore, right? That type of role. You have Brandon Cooks, thankfully, you know, just a veteran route runner. I think I think he still has a few big plays in him. You still have Rashid Shaheed. In my opinion, he's pushing more towards wide receiver 2 or 1, but every day a star is born. We said this at training camp. We walking back to the car. I don't know where my keys was at.
All them keys.
But we talked about this guy, and yesterday he had 100 yards. He averaged 16 yards a catch. Mason Tipton. Let's start there, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, he is really
play.
starting to emerge into a guy wanting to make a name in this core.
Well, first of all, and not to let it be known, not to let it just seem like it was Rattler, the defense gave us 3 stops that we needed
Straight
yesterday. But to get to the young man, Mason Tipton, last year he was all airline highway. And yes, because of the injuries we had last year, he got a chance to make some plays and get in and get some time, some valuable time. This season, he comes in, seems like to me, even hungrier, with a more understanding of being a professional, because some of us take maybe a year or so to understand how it is to be a professional in the NBA and the resting and the nutrition and the recovery. But once again, he has become all airline again on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. But Sunday, I believe he made himself a roster spot on this year's team because Mason Tipton has one of those personalities, might I say, definitely not the size, but the personality of a Puka Nacua, a guy that doesn't really matter where he was drafted at, doesn't really matter how many reps he gets. When he gets in, he's going to ball out and he's going to make you recognize him.
Chris, Mason Tipton, I mean, even to a certain extent, Dante Pettis, like those two, I mean, Pettis wasn't that bad. I mean, he had 57 yards off of 4 touches, plus a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
yeah,
he did
he
score
scored
a
the
touchdown.
3 passes back to back.
Yeah, that's
fourth quarter.
So I mean, I guess to those emerging receivers, what that was like in the dome watching them play.
I was literally thinking that in my head last night. Like, Mason Tipton, he's gonna be on that team by week 1. I think that he played great in the Chargers game, scored a touchdown in that one, and then this one he balled out in this game as well. And shout out to Dante Pettis. I think both of those receivers are gonna make the team because they both can be difference makers. You know, other than guys like a Brandon Cooks, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. I think they could definitely be the difference makers on our team in our receiver depth for sure.
If y'all just tune in to Inside the Trenches, baby, we're talking about preseason week 2. We had to jump into the Saints and Jacksonville game. I mean, you got Brian Thomas from LSU.
Big Brian.
Big dog, big as a
Brian.
gorilla, right? You
yes.
have these Saints players, youngsters stepping up. I want to go on the defensive side of the ball now. Quincy Riley, he had 9 tackles, 8 solo. The solo numbers are extremely important.
Right.
You look at DeMario Jackson, he had 5 for 5. Sanker, 5 for 5.
With an interception.
With an interception.
Yep.
Two young guys got interceptions, and we talked about Jalen Ford.
Jalen Ford,
He
yep.
couldn't do anything last year because he was hurt.
Right.
So now you go into the spring, you go into the summer, and you're like, I got to make an impression now, and getting a pick in the red zone. Like,
Very important.
Jacksonville is driving down there to score. He handled his business. I mentioned a couple of guys, CL. Is there somebody I mentioned that balled out on the defensive side of the ball, or you that stood out, or of the guys I didn't mention, did or didn't?
To me, it's Sanker.
Yeah.
He's made plays not only just in preseason. He's been making plays all camp. I think this young man, might I say, has gave us some type of, and I wouldn't even call it hope, but gave us some type of comfort with the retirement of Tyrann Matthews. Like, okay, wow, even though I truly believe in Justin Reed and Jay Blackman, we still have a young guy. It's always been about the next guy up. It's always been about the emerging guys, the who's next. This young man, once again, I think this young man has made a spot for himself on this team. And the plays that he's making is going to be hard-pressed for him not to get on the field this year early. And so it's definitely Mr. Shanker, number 33 from Virginia.
I mean, Chris, you talked about the pick that he had in the fourth quarter. That was big. You're a rookie. You make a big play like that in the preseason.
Yes, right.
But let's look at the big picture real quick. Coach Brandon Staley. It looks like this defensive scheme is working for the Saints because the players that's already been on the team and, their strengths and weaknesses. Talk to me about coaches, the way his defense looked yesterday and how you think it's going to progress as the season progresses.
Honestly, there was more of a bend but don't break defense.
Mm-hmm.
There was more, they capitalized on their opportunities and they made the most out of it. And that's what kept the Saints in the ball game. Their opportunistic ways of getting the ball back and that bend but don't break approach. And as the season goes on, hopefully they could be a good yardage defense too and not just be opportunistic. I would prefer, I would like to see them force a lot more turnovers, a lot more 3-and-outs, and things of that nature. So I think if they could keep on being like that, I think they could be a scary defense in the future, for sure.
Yeah, and go ahead, my bad.
Well, I love it because, to a man, the starters for Jacksonville played. True. You saw Bigsby. You saw Goldilocks. You saw Big Brian Thomas. You saw the starters for Jacksonville, but we started our second-string defense.
True.
And everybody kind of stepped up because they know this is the time to make the team. And with that being said, I'm grateful that we have backup guys that are making plays on their own. When we went into this camp, we had question marks when we went in before the draft, we had question marks about the linebacker position. Now look at it. It seems like it's one of our more healthier positions that we can't wait to get some of the younger guys on the field. We look at the cornerback position. We let the great Marshawn Lattimore go. We Paulson Adebo signed with the Giants. So we were wondering who's going to be these next guys that step up. We have a Riley, a gentleman. We have a Riley that stepped in not only in the passing game, but also in the run game, so run support. At the end of the season, we were concerned of the safety position. Now look at us. We have a Justin Reed, a Blackman, and might I say a Shanker that's going to be playing for some time, buying for some time. So throughout this camp, throughout the offseason, we've had question marks and we've filled in those slots. It's a positive look going forward.
That it surely is. If y'all just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, baby, we're talking New Orleans Saints. A positive look forward. I saw some happy fans on television yesterday. They saw, I saw the Saints go all the way. I felt like that was about to get played. But this is what I'm looking at, y'all. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. You have a defense that's shaping up. You have a young coach that's eager to impress. This is an opportunity for him. This is the youngest coach in the NFL, and Coach Kelly. In addition to that, here's a guy who just won a Super Bowl, and this is his first time being a head coach. So this is a great opportunity. Expectations in terms of the Saints, I know a lot of fans are like, we might win 5 games, we might win 7. I'm gonna kind of stick to what CL said a few weeks ago. It could be 5-12, could be 12-5, but it's definitely some players that's trying to, shape, make a name for themselves. When you have enough new faces like that, it allows room to grow. So I guess y'all last couple minutes here in the segment, I want to just
with no expectation, we
around
can't do nothing but just
go up.
Go up.
Yeah, no
For sure.
doubt. So a couple of other games, I thought, where's that Tampa score? Teddy Two Gloves, y'all. He still looks super young in regards to how, not necessarily in mobility, but in regards to how he's able to still shine. So, of course, Tampa won 17-14. Denver beat the brakes off of Arizona 27-7. It's so many ways to view the preseason, right? Because you have teams like us who have competing quarterbacks. You have teams like Tampa who sat Baker because we could bring Two Gloves in, get our guys back in the rhythm of things, just kind of looking around the league. CL, I'll come to you first. I mean, obviously Buffalo didn't start any starters because the score was 38-8. I mean, 0.
Yeah.
But so when you look at the teams that are putting their players out there, like Trevor Lawrence started the first drive.
He did.
What's your thoughts on some of the games off yesterday, off a game I mentioned, where some young guys that really impressed because they had to play and know they're going to start this year?
Well, if I wouldn't mention his name, I would be considered a hater. Young man in Chicago.
Oh, Caleb. Oh, definitely Caleb Williams.
Mr. Caleb Williams. I spoke last week about one of the reasons why they probably didn't play you in that week, because you guys were trying to get your offense on point. You come out in like gangbusters. They score on their first drive. You're very efficient. The offense looked like it's buzzing on all cylinders early. So I would have to say Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Not to not mention Brian Johnson, the new head coach. The offense looks very crisp. He does finally look like, and don't get me wrong, he was the most sacked quarterback last year. They addressed the offensive line, center guard, both guard positions. He has weapons, more weapons than I think he actually needs.
Right.
With a Duzier, with a Burton the third.
Yeah, they got 3 big dogs there.
Yeah, and then the tight end from Michigan,
Cole.
just drafted the tight end for Michigan. It's Monday. All these names running.
Yeah, running through. But I know you're talking
Cortland, something Cortland.
Oh, you talking about Colston Loveland?
Yeah,
Coastal
Loveland.
Loveland, yeah.
So, he has the weapons. It's finally starting to click. The Chicago Bears, October 18th, maybe the Saints have something to deal with because they're looking pretty good in the beginning of this preseason.
And I can understand that when you look at Chicago, because they have a young, bright GM in Ryan Pace. Not Ryan Pace. Ryan, Monday brain for me too. Can't think of his name.
He's tall.
Yeah, brother out there.
Right.
So you have him, and he has a point to prove. He did draft Caleb Williams, so the best way to dress up, maybe not the best choice. Yeah, he probably thought a couple nights before he went to bed.
It was Ryan Pace.
Ryan Pace. Yeah.
No, but not Ryan Pace. His last name.
GM.
Is a GM. Pace was the GM. Pace was here too.
For the Bears.
But we'll think of his name. But I know that's not his last name, but Ryan for sure is his first name. Telling you, that's what I love about Mondays here on Inside the Trenches. These are the conversations we have.
The names that you say all day, and when you sit down in front of this camera, and ESPN's on your back.
Oh, Ryan Poles.
Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
There we go. Ryan Poles.
Ryan P. something.
I want to. So Chicago is going to be Chicago. They could be 3rd or 4th place this year in their division. That's kind of.
I think they might be a little bit better than that. I think Detroit. I think Detroit takes a step back.
Okay.
Because of the loss of the coordinators.
All right.
Of the offensive and defensive coordinator.
Okay.
We already have seen that Jordan Love is hurt now and dealing with a hand injury, and he just had surgery on one of his fingers. So where does that land the Green Bay Packers? If the Chicago Bears can get I haven't seen their schedule, but if they can get an early start, I think they can hold pace in this division and fight for the actual.
I for sure was about to go to talk about Tennessee and Cam Ward. But just because you said that, I'm going to go to Chicago because I really think they're third or fourth. I do think Minnesota, and I do think Green Bay. Now, I see where you're going with Detroit. I don't know if that step going to be that big of a step back. See, I was like, I hear you. They got the Vikings. We're going to find out very quick about that.
Right. And the only
Very
reason
quick.
why I didn't mention the Vikings because I've been online and I've said I didn't believe in the quarterback from Michigan.
Okay,
JJ.
JJ McCarthy, yeah.
I would put Green Bay and Detroit before the Vikings in Chicago.
I would
100%.
as well. I would as well.
Even though both teams, well, Detroit lost their guy. But Chicago is something because maybe Ben Johnson can go over there and do something right.
Well,
Who knows, right?
quintessentially, the Vikings are starting a rookie at quarterback.
Definitely. And just like we mentioned, I know we were going to tell them the first few games. You got the Lions after the Vikings, Cowboys, that's whatever, right? Raiders, and then you also have the Commanders. Then they play the Saints, like you said, but that's well into Woptober. So I don't know. I do like the weapons that they have defensively. I'm not sure about them, but if Caleb Williams could play halfway decent, I think Chicago could potentially do something.
They scored almost 45 points in a preseason game, and all three quarterbacks played.
I got you. And like I said, it was, I don't think Buffalo had anybody out there, but I'm with you. I roll with you. I ain't mad at you at all. Holla if you hear me. Holla if y'all hear us too, man. Y'all chat. Y'all chime in the conversation down there as well.
Let us know.
Let us know. Do you think Chicago makes some noise this year? Is this one of those situations? Like I said, I feel Seattle might be right. It might be week 5, week 7 or something like that. Chicago at the top, he got a point. But even though I doubt it seriously right now, that don't mean that it may not happen.
Yeah, and I go from the thought process of the expectation. Like, there is no expectation in New Orleans. We're going to do better than that, right?
Sure.
So the expectation of the Bears is not to win the division. I believe they're going to do better than that.
Well, hey, it's Inside the Trenches, baby. We're going to talk a little more NFL at our last segment. We're going to have Mario Jerez slide through the show, baby.
Mario.
Talk a little sports with us. And then segment 2, we're going to kick off college football. This week 0. We are actually in week 0. So there's a couple games we're going to talk about, see what the bettors out there doing, so on and so forth. But then we're going to take a peek towards week 1, look at a couple of games that we look forward to in week 1. And then Mario Jerez will join us for segment 3.
Mario.
It's Inside the Trenches, baby. Y'all don't go nowhere. We'll be right back
Inside
on
the
ESPN
Trenches.
Baton Rouge. Hello, somebody.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the Trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Well, hello, somebody. It's time to move our body. Welcome back to Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon, Big Favorite, and we want to thank y'all for joining us on the show tonight. Shout out to my co-host in the building, CL NOLA. Y'all be sure to follow CL at CL_NOLA on Instagram, Twitter, or wherever you do y'all social media networking. And Lil Chris, I think it's Lil Chris, some underscore. Get it from y'all. You know, y'all got all kind of underscore.
All lowercase, Lil Chris, 3K _
Lil Chris, you better believe it.
Lil Chris.
Well, y'all, college football is back. While we're watching NFL preseason games, it's also time to check out a little bit of college football. And with that being said, I also want y'all to go to stillbody.org. That's right, stillbody.org. Shouts out to Dr. Kendra. Y'all be sure to check out her products. She has tons of wellness products for oils for your body, like if you want to burn a little fat throughout the day. She has some of her vitamins and nutrients are 30 to 40 different products. So be sure to visit stillbody.org for more information. Fellas, week 0 is now upon us. Our first college football game is Saturday, August 23rd. You dig. First game that's going to kick off is Iowa State versus Kansas State. You have Idaho State versus UNLV, Fresno State versus Kentucky, Then this is throughout the day, so this is 11 a.m., 3 p.m.,
Right.
5:30. Western Kentucky versus Sam Houston at 6, and then there's Stanford versus Hawaii. So those are the first games to kick off. Look, Chris, I'll come to you first. Any of those games pique your interest? You're looking forward to seeing any of these teams play?
I think the best game is going to be Kansas State versus Iowa State. I think that's going to be the most intriguing game out of all of them, for sure.
I got to agree with you on that one. I thought Iowa State last year was a team that made a lot of noise. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, who they played in their bowl game, their little running back with Rolling, they ended up losing because they made it to the, if I'm not mistaken, this is Monday Brain and we were refreshing from last season. But, just to think back to the type of year that they had last year to make it where they made it. But they do take on, after that, South Dakota State, Iowa, and Arkansas State. So, in my opinion, CL, and I can't think of that little running back name. I'm going to have to go to their depth chart. But, to me, you're looking at a Big 12 team that they made some noise last season. Let's see here. Some more.
They actually won their bowl game last year.
Yeah, who they played against, though?
Miami.
That's who they beat, Miami. And what running back that was? I'm telling you, I watched that game for Iowa State. I can't think of who it was.
Can't think of.
He was balling, though. But it'll come to me.
Well, I mean, if you want to just give the people what they want, you want to give the people what they're going to be talking about, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room, and let's speak about the Texas-Ohio State game.
Well, now that's week 1.
Yeah.
We
I know we week 0.
And look,
I've gotten calls already about this game and the build up to this game.
I mean, it's a lot of national championship implications.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you have the SEC winner.
I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, they just announced the starter for Ohio State.
Yes, would be the
Julian
rookie.
Sane. Yeah.
Freshman. I'm
Jennison?
sorry, freshman.
Julian Sane.
Julian Sane. They just made that announcement about Julian Sane. To me, I think Ohio State might fool around with all the defending national champion. They didn't lose a whole lot. They did, and it's kind of like Texas A&M or Texas. The reload is easy, right? It's like LSU.
God.
You know what I'm saying? Go Tigers.
Totally.
So
the reload is easy. It doesn't help recruit. It doesn't hurt recruiting to win a national championship, knowing that they have teams like the great LSU, even the Notre Dame, even the Texas. Right? Texas ended up winning the SEC last year. The question is that the eyes are going to all be on the young Manning. Right? He finally gets a Heisman hopeful. Not for me, but for the masses, a Heisman hopeful. The name recognition. But I think the pressure, believe it or not, the pressure will be actually on Manning because he's starting against a freshman. Mm-hmm. So even if Guy plays okay, it's always going to be about what I was about to call him Eli. What did Arch do or what didn't Arch do compared to what Ohio State has done to them? So, like I said, the conversations have started already. Apologies to Faye for jumping to week 1.
No, it's fine. I ran the whole schedule.
No,
I saw the Crickets and I heard the Crickets. I ran the schedule for week 0 and nobody jumped. Chris came out the blue and said, Iowa State. And I'm thinking about it. Iowa State. I'm like, I can't think of the running back name because
you talk about Carson Henson?
Carson Henson, bro. He had in that game, he was well over 100 yards rushing. I mean, he gave it his all, but I just feel like week 0, I mean, think about it. You might be at Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and that's on. You'll sit there and watch it because college football back, so you're not really too much worried about, what somebody think. And I mean, the fact that these games, you're not going to follow none of these teams throughout the year. Now, lo and behold, you'll catch a team like Iowa State or a team like Kansas who may have a guy. Like Kansas had Devin Neal, set a rushing record for the university last year. I didn't watch any of his games last year. I didn't start seeing none of his Kansas highlights until it was draft time. So, Nah. Lo and behold, I totally understand.
I
that.
watched the Colorado game. He was great in that one.
Yeah.
He was great in the Colorado.
He was
game.
rolling. Yeah, but why you watched it? Because you watching Shador. Come on.
Yeah.
You know,
But-
and that's how football works. Even for scouts, even for NFL owners. You know, you go to watch one guy, and then another guy just pops off the screen.
Yep.
You know, as much as we love to watch a Shador Sanders, a Travis Hunter, you know, we saw the wide receiver Webster. We saw the wide receiver Shepard. You know, we saw these other players that are now making plays in the NFL and in preseason as, you know, rookies coming from the University of Colorado. So whenever you're going to look for one guy, I'm sure there's going to be other gentlemen that pop off the screen.
And look, when I look at games like Texas and Ohio State, I start thinking about matchups. Like, who's going to come on now? Who's
Get
going
into it.
So let's go. Jalen Gillaboo. Gallibo. Or Gullible. Whatever. It's just a boy at the end. Monday, fun day. He had 35 solo tackles last year and 3 pass breakups. He's starting right now. Let's see who else. Damn, that phone was loud. It's on. Vibrate. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm just checking my little hand.
Ohio State's defensive line minus a Sawyer that was drafted into the
Let me
NFL
see.
against Arch Manning in the offensive line.
Yeah. And it's this thing, too. We don't believe you. You need more people. Malik Muhammad, 32 solo tackles, 8 pass breakups. And that's the thing with Texas. They have too many players not, proven. Who's going to guard Jeremiah Smith? Now, let's just check out his numbers last year. Sophomore, right? 1,300 yards. 15 touchdowns. So now when I'm thinking matchups, immediately I'm looking at, all right, who they gonna get on him? Oh, let's check this dude out. What type of plays he had last year? I mean, you look at a guy like, we'll skip to LSU. You look at a guy, and we're gonna talk LSU later on in the show, but you look at a guy like Ashton Stamps. He got double-digit pass breakups. He was like second in the SEC. Right. He didn't have any picks last season. So when I look at stuff like that, I start thinking about those matchups, fellas.
Brother, the matchup will be the matchup. Hate to sound cliche-ish.
It is what it is.
But the pressure, those 100,000s of people, might be the premier game of the year. Might be the best team that Ohio State plays this year. Might be the best team that Texas plays this year. What is the tailgate going to look like? What is college football going to look like that day? All the parameters around this game, there's tremendous chance for guys to step up and say their names. Now, we know that Texas lost a lot of people to the NFL.
Yeah.
A forward for us just had an interception for us, for the New Orleans Saints. We understand that Ohio State lost a few guys. I think the issue is that there are a tremendous amount of gentlemen that names need to be said, but they've been looked over because of the premier names. And week 1 is the day they're going to get their chance to show.
No doubt, baby. I want to say, what is it? Let me see who it. I just had it. If y'all just tuning in, we're going over some of the week 1 games that y'all just can't wait to see. We just talked about Ohio State and Texas. Probably going to be one of the bigger matchups from that week 1. And it's like I mentioned to y'all before, I think it's just one of them situations this year, especially when you look at a team like Texas. It's so much hype, and we know why, and it just is what it is in that regard. But I just see it as a whole different. I just see it from Ohio State was just, they're not gonna just make that big of a dip. I guess it's way too early to see who the favorite is in that game, but I don't know. Tulane take on Northwestern. That should be a pretty good game for Tulane. That's a big school.
Oh, for sure.
So that should be a pretty
Right next door.
Not Northwestern State.
Not Northwestern State.
The Northwestern.
Illinois.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that one different. And then next door is Loyola. We over here at Loyola. Now we could probably make a football team. You could probably play like receiver. CL could play. You know what I'm saying?
I could play the concessions.
All right, I'm going to skip to Monday Fun Day, September 1st. And from that, this is Labor Day weekend. North Carolina, TCU. Bill Belichick makes his college football debut. We had Aaron Summers on the show. She said, hey, I
Shout
thought
out
that
to
was
her.
going to be the first question y'all was going to ask me about. But So, fellas, Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest NFL coach of all time, makes his debut. CL, you got the Birdman rub going. They take on TCU. Your thoughts on this matchup with Belichick and his new Tar Heels?
Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't think anyone actually cares about the game itself. I think the question is, can Coach Belichick reach these young men at the ripe age of, I won't even put Coach's age out there. I think all the questions are outside of the game. Is coach situation, will it spill over onto the football field?
Yeah.
Coach situation, will it spill over to the internet? Will it spill over to the interviews? I hope that we can focus back on football, but until those type of questions are answered moving forward, you're gonna have to deal with it immediately. Like Aaron said, that will be the first question.
It will be. I mean, everybody obviously know about Coach Belichick's relationship with one of the young ladies, student there, an adult, for all intents and purposes. But Chris, when you think about the outside noise, will that affect Coach Belichick on the field?
I just think he should bring that same approach that he had when he was in New England. Like, have that strict military base, like, discipline. And I feel like as long as he can get his guys disciplined like he did in New England, military style, I think everything will be just all right. But if he's going to let that affect that, then it might be a long season for them.
I see where you're going with this, and I totally understand that strict military, almost low fade, high top type mentality. I played for Coach Belichick. It's cooler than a lot of people think he is. I thought he was just like you mentioned this strict, but he'll hold a nice conversation with you, and I wonder if he's able to adapt and adjust. I mean, we were young players, back then. 23 was the norm for NFL rookie. Now that's like your second year in college football. Right. So, it's a different dynamic from what we're used to dealing with in regards to communication. But, Chris, that's a great point. Coach Belichick won off of that strict way of coaching that, guys, I don't want to really say too much to the media.
That's a
I'm just
great
going to handle you
impersonation.
just
That's
like
a good
this. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Like, you can't be that dismissive with these kids in this press. So, that worked in the league because the NFL, private business, a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Uptight, I guess, to say the least.
I mean, think about all the gentlemen that have went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. You have the great Michael Jordan. You have the great Lawrence Taylor. You have the great Julius Peppers. You have the great James Worthy. You have the Hall of Fame Vince Carter. You have all these gentlemen that names come before the University of North Carolina, and not one of those gentlemen have stepped up to back Coach Belichick verbally. So I think all of us are sitting and waiting to see what will actually become of this, because winning cures everything, but losing causes dissension. And so I will just sit back and watch the people that jump on the bandwagon and the people that's ready to tear it down, because there's a darn near 80-year-old coach coaching 19-year-old college football players.
Correct. And guys, it's this thing of, all right, who's your leaders? Right now you have Gio Lopez, transfer sophomore, as his starting quarterback. There's also Baker Bryce. Now, Gio was a dog for South Alabama. I don't know if y'all had a chance to check him out, but just to kind of talk about his 2024 season, 2,500 yards. He only had 5 interceptions, so he careful with the ball. He got the rushing touchdown. I mean, he has those rushing touchdowns as well. So, and then on the other end, you have Josh Hoover, who more of your mobile quarterback. He did have 4 rushing touchdowns. He threw 11 interceptions, but he had almost 4,000 yards passing. So when you start looking at the quarterback matchup and then what Coach Belichick is known for, defense.
Defense, for sure.
What type of guys did he bring in? Who's his nose guard? You know, they're running a 4-2.
Not Divine Gotcha.
C.J. Mims, you know, a young guy. He's been here now for 2 years, 4 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks. So he's somebody that got to prove himself. You hit the portal for your left end. Come on, we used to seeing like, you know, Willis McGinnis type players. You know,
Richard Seymour,
big Vince Wilfork in the middle.
I was about to say Vince Wilfork.
I'm just thinking about my teammates. You know, you got a guy from the portal and V. Smith that don't have Vilbert is his name, doesn't have a lot of playing experience. So it kind of remind me of Texas, right? You know, yeah, Arch Manning is what it is, and you know, Texas is known for doing well in the portal, but I don't want this. This can go south, right? All the stuff could come out, right? Like, oh man, that girl a distraction, Coach Belichick losing it, so on and so forth. All that stuff comes out if they go out there and get their face beat by TCU.
Exactly.
They go out that game and it's just a little bit close. Then it's everything cool. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Oh, for sure. You know, and not to be a cliche-ish guy, you know, winning cures everything. You know, recruiting, sponsorship, alumni backing. Coach, you win 4 games out the rip.
Yeah.
They'll be talking about North Carolina. This North Carolina. This quintessentially can be a trap game. You do well,
Early.
you get the accolades. You do bad, they're gonna be asking about your old lady.
And that's just the bottom line. I mean, let's cut straight to it. Cause I mean, this is a Hall of Fame coach, legendary
First
football
ballot.
guy. I'm talking about you think of college football, you think of NFL is Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Like, you know, this is the standard
George
of coaching.
Seaton.
You know, and sometimes you just feel a little young. You know what I'm saying? Forever young. I want to be.
You know, and we not getting on
forever young.
Coach, but we're in the media. We understand how the media works. We understand how social media works. We understand how sociality works. We understand how personalities work.
And listen,
We want it to be about football, but the reality is, if you don't win, it's gonna be about everything else.
It's going to be about everything else. And look, I come from an era as a player where everything was, like the stuff that's going on now would never happen in our era.
No.
You know, just from not just Coach Belichick's situation. That's my dog. I don't want to feel like I'm picking on him, but just how these college players jump from team to team. There's it's just a different game. So to be able to adapt to that is going to be important. One more game, guys, before we take a quick break. Once again, we want to thank Dr. Kendra and Health Nut System for all that they do for the show, support. Listen, her products are off the chain. Be honest with y'all, I don't eat the best. I'm not on a great diet, but at least her products give me enough nutrients to have my day flow wellness that we need. Visit stillbody.org for more information. Florida State versus Alabama. I'm looking at my screen right now. I see my old teammate Roman Harper. He's talking all this trash about Alabama, the real DBU, and all that. Listen, I don't care. Louisiana versus everybody. Y'all won't see
All
us.
the time.
Straight up. You go straight up I-10 by I-10, you got all Pro Bowlers. Straight up. Top players. It's 299 players within a 15 to 20 mile radius from where we're sitting right now.
Right quick.
Real news. No gimmick. Florida State versus Alabama. This is an interesting matchup because Alabama is now 2 years out of the Saban era. Last year, and look, people got Alabama up high. I mean, right now, Alabama's ranked 8th, like right above us. You start to think about this matchup off top. My head automatically goes to what the quarterbacks are going to do, right? Y'all lost a lot of defensive ends. I know we got Peyton over at LSU now, so you lose him. You lose guys to the draft. One of our Concord sports players still up, Byron Turner, saying all defensive end. That's your guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ain't you go to school with BT? Talking about young boy, talking about Kevin Gates cooler than young boy.
That's
all they
crazy.
want to listen to, Kevin Gates. Well, you know, he's geared up to start. I'm going to pull up their depth chart here in a second. But CL, I mean, what you think about this matchup, bro? ABC primetime, what you think?
I think it's time. I think it's for both universities. I think the slot has been slotted for both universities to actually stand up and put themselves back in the upper echelon of the conversations that we have at ESPN and other respected broadcast systems. I think of one gentleman when I think of Alabama, and I think of Ryan Williams, the young wide receiver that probably is his last year in college football. What will he produce? You know, I think about the DBs of Florida State, led by their coach Patrick Surtain Sr. What do they have in store for obviously a number one guy and trying to slow them down? I think everybody has an opportunity to show who they are. Alabama gets to try to come back to where they've been at for the past 15 some odd years. Florida State, after that debacle of the NCAA, when they stopped them from going into the playoffs and they lost so many young men in the portal, have they gained their players and their stamina back? So I think a lot of questions, just like the Texas and Ohio State game, I think a lot of questions will be answered in this game alone. And once again, may I humbly say, it's quite possible that this may be the best team that Florida State plays this year. And we know that won't be the best team that Alabama plays.
Now, Chris, when you think about this Alabama game, this is Coach the Monday Brain, and it's not Kellen. I said it right now.
Kalen DeBoer.
Kalen DeBoer. I was about to say Keelan. Shouts out to Key. Kalen DeBoer. This is his second season at Alabama. Big shoes, mega shoes to fill, right? But somehow Alabama is still ranked high. You have a quarterback in Ty Simpson who's not proven. Right, last year he threw for 167 yards. So new face at quarterback obviously threw for that many yards last year because Jalen Milroe was not coming out the game.
Right.
Your thoughts on this Alabama team? This matchup.
I think the most interesting matchup would be how Florida State's offense will fare against Alabama's defense. I think that would be the matchup right there. Does Florida State's offense improve from last year, or are they still the same Florida State offense? We will find out week 1 when they play Alabama's defense. And I know Alabama lost some key guys defensively, but I think they still got some dogs in there defensively as well. So I think that would be an interesting matchup for sure.
Yeah, they're still Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get you don't get to have 5-star players 3 deep anymore in Alabama. You don't get to have that. You don't get to have a room of Mark Ingram and Henry and
Trenton Richardson
and Alvin Kamara all in the same backfield anymore because of NIL and them being able to make it. You know, people being able to pay for the top talents that would just automatically go to Alabama just for the name's sake. So I think this is a name-stake game. Can these programs get back to the upper echelon of not just the records, not just the winning, but recruiting?
No doubt. I mean, when you think of Alabama, they've had dominant running backs over years, right? You think of Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, who's still haunting people in the NFL, Mark Ingram, who's probably going down as maybe 1-2 top Saint of all time behind Alvin and Deuce. So, I mean, they're known for that. I mean, I could keep naming their running
Ryan
backs.
Robinson, one of my favorites.
Many men, you know what I'm saying?
One of my favorites.
Najee Harris.
But now you have a guy in Jam Miller who had 668 yards rushing last year. He did have 7 touchdowns. So that's an area, in my opinion, Alabama, that kid got to have at least 1,200 yards rushing for Alabama to get back to that old Withers running team.
Right.
And because you don't have a proven passer in Ty Simpson, we're just going to have to see who he is. You do lose some guys to the league. So I think for this matchup, it may be evenly distributed and it'll be a game worth watching. Well, look, y'all don't go nowhere because we'll have Mario Jerez join us. That's right, Spanish radio for the Saints, for the Pelicans. Yes, indeed. My man knows what he's talking about. He's going to sit down and join us. We're going to talk LSU again. I know Mario going to want to talk about the Saints. What the Pelly? Might want to tell us a little something about the Pellies because that's what he do. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's Inside the Trenches, baby, on ESPN Baton Rouge. Watch out there now.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the Trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the Trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the Trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the Trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
It's time to move your body. Welcome back to Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon, Big Faith Favorite Right. When you're having yourself a good time, time does fly. So we're in hour 2 of the show already. And as promised, baby, we got the one and only Mario Jerez.
Super Mario.
Super Mario, baby. And he's definitely Super Mario today because it's a high school championship ring, but that thing look like a Super Bowl ring. Hey, y'all, we got to get a close-up of that. That's your camera right there, Mario. Look at that. Ooh, that thing, that's how you ball out right there. So big ups to Central High School football once again for winning the state championship. Mario doing the play-by-play. So they kind of treated y'all like they treated us at LSU. Brandon, Hunt, and I, we all got rings for the LSU's national championship. So shouts out to Central High for
that's a different story, you know, because up until that point, I had been the Spanish play-by-play voice of LSU for like 8 seasons, so I could argue I should have gotten a ring there. But in a way, this one kind of makes up for that, Big Fave. It kind of does. You know, I've been blessed. I've done a lot of big games, college games, NFL games now as the Spanish play-by-play voice of the Saints. But as both of you gentlemen know, there's nothing like high school football, man. It is the sport at its purest form. You know, teamwork, leadership, stuff like that's put at a premium. And since I took that job 2 years ago, Coach David Simino, the folks at Central, they've shown a lot of love. They care a lot about their program. That's why they invest in everything, including their play-by-play person. So very, very grateful for the Wildcats. Looking forward to another great season in 2025.
No doubt. So, Mario, what that was like in the Dome, calling the state championship, and I guess walk our viewers through the Central season, because if I'm not mistaken, Central kind of crept in there and it's kind of like boom.
Yes, you're exactly right, Big Fave, and I'm so happy that you asked me that question because this was not your normal high school football team. You could literally write a movie off of this team story because last year was their first season with Coach David Simino, who came in from Catholic High, where he also won a state championship, but they had high expectations going into year 2, right? But the day before the first game of the season at De La Salle inside of Tad Gormley Stadium, they had 3 very key players involved in a car accident. And basically, their starting quarterback, Jackson Furman, their starting running back, Manny Williams, and the guy who ended up being their leading receiver, Kylan Thomas, they all got in a car accident the day before the game.
Wow.
And it wasn't their fault. They were basically just chilling in the parking lot, getting ready to go to practice, and the guy rear-ended them, and they were all pretty significantly hurt, especially Manny, who ended up missing, the running back, who ended up missing the entire season up until the second playoff game. The other 2 guys only missed the first game, but to come back from that happening right before the first day of the season and still rally to win the state championship with all those guys back several months later, that's an awesome story, man. It was really fun to tell, and as I told you guys, it really was one of the more rewarding experiences of my play-by-play career.
Wow. That's a great story, brother. Honestly, brother, you're one of my favorite guests to bring on.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're very versed in not just, you know, the Pelicans or the Saints. You know, now you're showing your high school premise, and congratulations on being a part of that Central situation. I'm gonna just jump right into it because I've been dying to know. What's your opinion about the Pelicans coming up this year, brother?
I'm trying to stay optimistic, honestly. And look, Joe Dumars deserves every opportunity to come in here and establish his team and get a fair chance, right? But I honestly don't know if firing David Griffin was the right move. Like, I feel like he built a pretty solid team and even a solid culture. Like, the guys they're building the franchise around, the guys that they just made the promotional video with to release the schedule, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, both of those guys are David Griffin draft picks. And I think they've had a lot of bad luck. I think they've had a lot of injuries, and I'm not even just talking about Zion. It all came to a head last year with basically every starter missing time at some point. And if Joe Dumars came in and comes in and did exactly what David Griffin did, that might not still be good enough unless this team gets better luck. Like, they just look snake bit right now, whether it's injuries or whatever else. So I don't think David Griffin did a very, very bad job, honestly. And I think Dumars has an opportunity to also do a good job, but they just need some better luck, man. This is a snake bit franchise right now.
I appreciate your honesty, brother. And like I said, that's why I like when you come on, brother. So let's just go there. What's your opinion on the retainment of Willie?
Honestly, man, he's got to prove himself a little bit. Because whenever we have this conversation, it kind of feels like I'm taking crazy pills if I'm arguing against Willie Green, right? Because he's never gotten an opportunity to coach a healthy team.
Right. Yeah.
And early on, when Zion was not on the court, I still haven't forgotten what he did with that team. That started 2-16, still made the playoffs.
7 in the West.
Exactly. Everything I just said about David Griffin, you can kind of say about Willie Green, too. Like, he coached up Herb Jones. He coached up Trey Murphy. He's done some good things. But if you watch the games, which I know you guys do, it's hard to not make the argument that he's regressed a little bit as a head coach. I don't like the decisions he makes. I don't like his rotations. I think at times he cares way too much about defense and not about offense. And I think he's got to kind of take some risks as a head coach and try some new things if he's going to succeed. If not, like I was just saying, keep in mind Joe Dumars is not the GM that brought him in, and that leash going into the season might be a little bit short. So I understand why he kept his job. You could make that case. He's never coached a healthy team, but at least in my opinion, he has to prove himself a little bit as a coach and start progressing instead of regressing.
If y'all just tuning in Inside the Trenches, y'all are listening to Mario Jerez. Be sure to follow him on X at Mario_E_Jerez. When I say Spanish radio for the Pels, Saints, he even do with the Pele in Spanish.
That's right.
Do what the Pele in Spanish.
What the Pele? ¿Qué lo Pele?
I like it,
Viva los
Jerez.
Pelícanos.
I love it. Mario, I do want to talk about the young talent on this Pelicans team, right? Jeremiah Fears looked exceptionally well in the summer league. We did get an injury out of Queen, which about October? No, shoot, probably like late September. He should be.
Fingers crossed, brother.
You know, he should
it's
be.
a hand, right?
It's a hand, yeah. So, I mean, once I'm assuming we get into like late October, he should be straight. I guess talk about him and our young talent.
I really like Fears, but going back to what I was just saying about Willie Green, I'm kind of scared he won't play him or won't play him enough because that's been the MO. Going back with Trey Murphy, he didn't play enough as a rookie. Hawkins. People will argue me on that, so I'm so happy that you said that. I thought I was all alone on Jordan Hawkins Island, but apparently I'm not.
You're not, bro.
Apparently he's like the worst defender ever and should never see the court. I don't think that's the case. Right. My man had the second most. He actually broke the record. He had the most threes in the history of UConn. Broke Ray Allen's record. Like, you can't tell me that guy does not belong on an NBA court. I'm sorry. So stuff like that, like I feel like he's got to kind of prove himself a little bit. And Jeremiah Fears needs to be playing. The injury to Queen is just unfortunate, man. Because if you're a Pelicans fan, you're trying to be optimistic going into the season. Yeah. We made this really risky trade for this guy, but if he's good, nobody's going to remember. It's all going to work out. And in the freaking summer league, in the second summer league game, he suffered significant injury. Like, that's like trauma. That's been a trauma of being a Pelicans fan, just continuing. So hopefully they stay healthy. Hopefully they get playing time. If both of those things happen, I think it's okay to be excited about this rookie class.
Well, speaking of trauma, and I'm sitting here in my Pelican gear that the great Super Mario has told us about that I actually go through from time to time. Just the injuries, just not being able to even believe the luck of the injuries. I think to a man, every New Orleanian has just left themselves on the fence with the Zion situation. If he plays, okay. If he doesn't, okay. I think the sick feeling in your stomach, in the pit of your stomach for New Orleans is a Queen came in to actually be not the replacement of Zion, but when Zion is hurt, we have a right-handed Zion out there. You know, and obviously Zion jumps out the gym, but the young guy has game. For him to go down with a weird hand injury, for us to have Murray go down game one with that hand injury, then come back and then tear his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. So he won't be ready to play when the season starts in October. So we're banking on a Fears to start. Hopefully, Willie will take the chains off. I wouldn't want to say chain. Take the ropes off. Take the shot.
Just let him
play. Let him play.
Yeah.
You know. And so that's all the things that we're going through in New Orleans. We have the injuries working against us. We have the weather working against us. You know, we have to get our own way. Honestly, my brother Super Mario, how do you feel with a healthy Pelicans team? Where do you see us in the West this year, 2024?
Oh my goodness, if they're like completely healthy, which is very unlikely, like they can really surprise some people. They could be a top 4 team in the West.
Wow.
I'll tell you, 2 seasons ago, not that long ago, March of 2023, I guess this would have been. It was March. It was the last month of the season, and the Pelicans were 4th place in the Western Conference. But Brandon Ingram got hurt right after that, missed like the last month. And in the play-in game against the Lakers, Zion got hurt. And then they never had a chance against OKC after that. So people don't want to admit it, but we've kind of seen a glimpse of what this team could be if they just get decent injury luck. And I know that feels like lazy analysis, but I really think in the last 5 years, the organization, despite DeJounte Murray's comments, I think he's just a little salty, have done things a lot better. They've invested in facilities. They've drafted a lot better. They've made more responsible trades, but it's just bad luck. And look no further than DeJounte Murray. This was a guy who played 70 straight games for like 3 years in a row. And the very first game inside the Smoothie King Center, he lands on his wrist out multiple weeks, and then he tears his ACL. Like, you can't tell me that's just not like being a snake bit franchise. That's just bad luck. So I think it's a lazy narrative out there to say, oh, the Pelicans, small market franchise. That's why they lost Chris Paul. That's why they lost Anthony Davis. They've been doing stuff better the last 5 or 6 years since David Griffin came in. And I don't want to give him all the credit. I think it's organizational, but they just need a little bit better luck. And the answer to your question, which is if they stay totally healthy, which as we've seen is very unlikely, they can be really good. And if they only stay kind of healthy, they can definitely at least flirt with the playoffs. Like, I think that's a reasonable expectation.
I want to switch gears a little bit, Mario, here, and for our folks who are just being just great fans of the show, checking us out, or double screening it, because right now Monday Night Football is going on. It's 14-7. Washington is winning. We do have Joe Burrow. We do have Jaden Daniels starting in this game.
Yeah, sure.
Jamar Chase, I saw just jogging off the field.
Debo got a big play. Debo Samuel. First touch, got like 17 yards on a reverse.
See what I'm saying? He had a lot of criticism because they said he had kind of put on a little weight, so it looked like he got in shape out there. Just these two teams right here are near and dear to us because we're LSU guys. Your thoughts on these two quarterbacks and how they're progressing in the league, and do you have a favorite out of our two Heisman winners?
I mean, maybe my LSU bias is showing here, but both of those guys are so good. Like, they've already accomplished so much just in their NFL careers. Joe Burrow took the Cincinnati Bengals to a freaking Super Bowl. And I feel like people don't give that defense enough credit, like losing Jesse Bates, losing their DC. They've definitely suffered from that. But let's be real, a big part of that was because of Joe Burrow. And then Jaden Daniels comes in as a rookie and takes the Commanders, not even just one of the worst teams, one of the worst organizations in the NFL today, 1 game away from the Super Bowl.
Real talk.
Like, that is impressive, and it goes to show, man, just how valuable a good quarterback is. And sometimes you have to suffer. Sometimes you have to have some bad teams before you get to that. Sometimes it falls right into your lap. But even for a team like the Saints, it just shows that if Tyler Shuck is really good, if he surprises some people, maybe the rest of the team responds, and maybe they could shock the world a lot quicker than people think. Like, both of those guys are showing just how much a good quarterback can do for you early on. So I'm very happy for both of them, and they're going to be elite quarterbacks for years to come.
We talked about the Saints in segment 1. We did talk about the quarterback battle going on. Obviously, this was a tie. Spencer Rattler had a better game this game, but this has been an ongoing battle, and I do appreciate Coach Kellen Moore giving these guys an opportunity to battle it out. I hadn't seen any favoritism since this thing had started. So, Mario, in your opinion, when you look at this quarterback battle, I noticed you mentioned Tyler Shuck. Who do you feel has the edge, or week 4 comes, who's the starting quarterback?
I think it's evenly matched, and I said this in the last few months coming on this show. I thought preseason was going to be really important. It's going to show us, if these guys can take the rest from the practice field onto the game, and you could argue they've both done that. Tyler Shutt did that last week with a good showing off the bench, and Spencer Rattler this week came in, did some really good stuff, led that 2-minute drill, and you've seen stuff from both of them. So I think it's pretty evenly matched right now, and if it stays evenly matched, I think you have to give the edge to Tyler Shuck. If anything, just because the current coaching staff invested in him. They came in and drafted him in the second round. They weren't here when they took Spencer Rattler as a 5th-round pick the year before. So I think right now it's pretty even. I think that when you were going to training camp, it was clear that Rattler maybe had the advantage just because he had more rapport with these guys, more chemistry. But now you see Shuck starting to build that in the games. I really like the throw that he made to Welch, like right on the defender's back. Put that one right on the money. And he tried to make a throw on the short side to Chris Olave in the corner, right between the safety and the cornerback, and he missed the throw. But I was really glad that he made that read and even went for it. Like, you're seeing progress from him in these preseason games. So as of right now, after these 2 games, I think it's evenly matched. But if it stays that way, if Spencer Rattler doesn't come out and light it on fire against the Broncos, I think Tyler Shuck has the edge going into week 1.
Well, it's gonna be hard pressed for him to light it on fire against your Coach Payton Denver Broncos, top five defense,
Real
number
tough.
1 sack leading team. The defensive player of the year at cornerback and Patrick Surtain, 2.
Yeah. Shout out Vance Joseph, New Orleans.
Shout out Vance Joseph,
BT
defensive
Jordan.
coordinator.
BT Jordan.
So that's gonna be a rough outing come Sunday, Saturday.
Yeah.
In your opinion, Mario, who is your starter week 1 against the Cardinals in New Orleans?
I'd go with Tyler Shuck, man. I think you have to because this is a very imperfect team. Neither one of these guys are going to be playing with a stat deck right off the bat, right? So if I'm the Saints, if I'm trying to build for the future more than the present, that's been their mistake the last couple of years, right? I'll let the rookie quarterback go out there, take his lumps, and even if it looks bad, you live with it, and you hope it looks better towards the end of the season. For example, this last game had a really, really bad intentional grounding penalty where he basically threw it to Cesar Ruiz like he was a running back coming out of the backfield or something. You'd like to see him maybe take licks like that. You're going to have to suffer through plays like that. But I'd rather him go through that than Spencer Rattler if you think he has the higher ceiling, if you think he has more potential, which seems to be the case. So if you're asking me, I think Tyler Shuck will start week 1.
Y'all let us know. Comment below. Do you think Tyler Shuck should be the starter week 1 or should it be Spencer Rattler? I see exactly where I guess Mario is going with this, and I do see the potential in Tyler Shuck, but them feet just ain't ready, baby. Them feet, as a former defensive tackle, when them feet get to moving like that, and like you said, it got some rushes. Shouts out to Vance Joseph, West Bank, where you at? We're going to definitely get a hand clap. And another West Banker, BT Jordan, and a guy that was on the West Bank of Baton Rouge, took the job in Denver, Coach Kane. All these boys, these Louisiana Tides, breaking records on the D-line, putting together defense. It will be a big test. But I want to hear from y'all, and y'all can hit me on @BigFave504 as well on X, or if you want to look at pictures that go on Instagram, that's pretty cool too. What's your thoughts on this matchup? Do you feel like this battle, I meant to say, do you feel like week 1 it should be Spencer Rattler, who has the most experience, recently performed the best? That last drive he put together in his last game was real. Tyler Shuck, who may have a little higher ceiling. Speaking of higher ceiling, he is a little taller. You can see, you get the ball, see that, or other, right? There are some guys out there that may be available, but y'all let us know, comment below. Mario, I see where you're going, and eventually, that's why I threw the little game 4 in SCL, because you give Spencer Rattler enough time to see if he can be your guy until Shuck develops, or if you may take a stab at quarterback next year. Who knows? But that is something to look forward to. Then you brought up the NFC South. Your thoughts on the Saints in the NFC South? We've seen some games here. We've seen Carolina play. Where do you think we stand season.
So objectively, like my media member, professional NFL broadcaster answer would be Tampa Bay. You know, they've ran the division the last couple of years. Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles have way surpassed a lot of people's expectations. And that's going to be the case until someone comes and takes it away from them. Saints haven't made the playoffs in 4 years. Falcons haven't made it in 7 years. Carolina, I don't even know because it's been even longer than that. So somebody has to knock them off.
Wow.
That being said, as a Saints fan, as somebody who wants them to win, I'm kind of sick and tired of losing to these guys because I feel like they're not that good. Like Baker Mayfield is super consistent. He's won a lot of games in Cleveland and in Tampa, two franchises that have not been great. But when I watch the games, it's just like keep him in the pocket. And if we could have more success against this guy, they ran the ball really well against the Saints last year when I felt like they didn't really have the personnel to do that. So in those two games, the Saints should have a lot more success. Like there's no way, in my opinion, they should have lost 5 out of the last 6 to these guys, which they have. So objectively, they run the division until someone takes it away from them. But as a Saints fan, I feel like they're not that much better than the other teams. And hopefully a team like the Saints, if not, unfortunately, maybe the Falcons, can dethrone them this year. The gap is, like I said, the history, the numbers are what they are. But in my opinion, the gap is pretty small. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams surprised the NFL world and knocked those guys off the NFC South throne.
Well, I definitely concur on what you said, brother. And just to drop some information on the people, just to drop some validity to what you said. In the past 3 years, we understand that the Tampa Bay Bucks have won the division, NFC South, respectfully. But if you go back and you look at the records, until you see week 11, when you get to week 11, week 12 in the past 3 years, no team in the NFC South was over 500. So I think that tells you the mediocrity of the actual NFC South and that it's not too far away. So with no one being over 500, at least until week 12, Tampa Bay has actually won the division under 500. So I believe it's open. It's open for anybody to win. I don't necessarily believe what's going on in Atlanta with Penix and Cousins not playing any preseason games. We do understand that they have an injury history. We do see a Bryce Young actually playing in the preseason, trying to get acclimated to his weapons that I don't believe he has, because I'm not convinced in the Adam Thielen. I'm not convinced in the number 1 wide receiver came from Arizona. I'm not convinced in a Leggett just yet. But respectfully, Tampa Bay has won the division. No matter if it was below 500 or above 500, they're still here. With a true, healthy New Orleans Saints team, where do you put them in the division this year, Brother Mario?
They could win the division for sure, if not at least flirt with the playoffs. And again, being objective, I get that their win total's 4.5. Everybody's picking them to come in last place. But you guys have followed this team a long time. You know the last 2 times we've had situations like this, first-year head coach taking over for a horrible head coach that didn't do a good job. It ended really well.
It did.
Mike Ditka fired in 99. They bring in Jim Haslett, no expectations. Aaron Brooks comes in. They win their first playoff game in 40 years as a franchise, shot the world. Fast forward 5 years, Hurricane Katrina, Jim Haslett, they go 3-13. He's fired. They bring in this young offensive coordinator from the Cowboys. Nobody's expecting anything from the Saints. 10-6, win the division, NFC Championship game in Sean Payton's first year. So objectively, even if I'm trying to keep it real, we've seen this happen. We've seen crazier things happen. And if you're talking about just competing for the division, just maybe winning the division, which you mentioned has had a division champion with a horrible record the last few years, like that's not the craziest thing. I think a reasonable expectation would be for the Saints to improve. You want to see improvement, to at least flirt with the playoffs, be competitive. They were at least in the playoff race for like half of last season, even through the 7-game losing streak, and then see what happens. We've seen crazier things happen. So I don't think it's going to be like a 4-13, 5-12 season. I think the Saints will win like 6, 7, 8 games, at least flirt with the playoffs if they have a reasonable amount of injuries. If they have good injury luck, they can make the playoffs. They can do better than that, and I think they could shock some people.
Wait, you say Coach Payton came from where?
From Dallas, right?
Oh, I know.
Man, that's crazy, man. Don't Dallas produce great coaches like that? And,
Oh, my God.
Man,
Coach Parcell
Yeah,
makes
Parcell.
great coaches. I
Yeah.
don't know what the state of the city of Dallas actually does.
Yeah, Sean
he is
Payton's
cut
coach.
from that
Sabotage
Yeah.
coaches. That's
Sean
what
Payton's
Dallas
head
does.
coaching tree is Dennis Allen, and that didn't go very well.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. By the way, Dennis
honestly,
Allen is in
and-
Chicago.
And doing a great job with that defense. I know we spoke about Caleb Williams and the offense in Chicago. The defense is something to speak about.
Hey, real talk. Yeah. He
Shouts out to Coach
and
Dennis
that's a
Allen.
strong point for
Yeah.
him. You know, he won a Super Bowl as a defensive back coach.
Yeah.
You know, almost went to another Super Bowl.
Defense is his thing.
Yeah, it's his
Elite
thing.
coordinator. I hate that his lasting legacy in New Orleans is what it is as the
Right.
head coach, but you can argue, we were just talking about how elite Denver's defense is. He kind of saved Sean Payton's career. After 3 7-9 seasons, he rebuilt that side of the ball, and they were one blown call away from competing for another Super Bowl championship. So,
Don't remind me.
yeah, Dennis Allen, great
18.
DC, not a good head coach.
Yeah, CL's alluding to 2018, the no call, which still right now haunts a lot of our Saints fans down here.
Physically
Yeah, it's
ill
annoying.
to this day.
So bad.
Mario, we got 2 more questions for you, man. We won't hold you long, brother. I know you it's Monday fun day
I'll
for
take
you.
your time. You know I love hanging out with y'all.
Same,
Appreciate it,
man.
man.
We love having you on the show. LSU's identity under Brian Kelly, year 4.
What is it?
What is it?
They still need to find it, honestly. Like he's talked a lot about like being a great offensive line coach and putting these guys in the NFL. Well, let's see a little bit better of a running game this season. And just they don't have an identity because they've fallen short in some of these big games. Like they've had good offenses for sure, but it's always been kind of incomplete. They either don't have a good running game, or the defense is so bad that you lose 3 games with Jaden Daniels, or the special teams is so bad that you lose 2 or 3 games just because of your special teams. Like
Wow.
He's a very smart coach. He's a good play caller. I know the offense is going to put up points, but they just need to find a way to be a more complete football team. And once that happens, maybe you could talk about strengths of your team and what your identity is. Because so far, LSU's identity under Brian Kelly has been having some great players, putting up some good numbers, but not having very much to show for it.
Well, brother, we all know that you're in Baton Rouge every Saturday. You battle the traffic, you battle the weather to give the people of Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas a great Spanish interpretation of what goes on. Tell us this. What is your opinion of the LSU team as far as how far they can go, such as playoffs, or I won't say it.
I mean,
Not
Hey,
Not yet.
No, I think it's very different expectations than Saints and Pelicans we were just talking about.
Yeah.
They can
Okay.
win the championship. They have a good enough team to win the championship, especially when you consider the quarterback that they're bringing back and Garrett Nussmeier. But if anything, that puts more pressure on not just Brian Kelly, but for the rest of the team. How much of a travesty would it be if you had 2 years of Jaden Daniels, 2 years of Garrett Nussmeier, and didn't even make a 12-team playoff? Like, just made the top 12. Like, that's a very reasonable expectation. And the rest of the roster is built pretty good. They've attacked the transfer portal this year a lot better than the last couple of seasons after missing out on Bryce Underwood. But you got to put it all together. The team on paper looks great for sure, but it's up to this coaching staff to put it all together and finally be a complete team. They've had some good teams the last 3 years. They've had some success, some records, but have yet to put it all together.
Well, I can say this, y'all. This weekend, I'll be out in Baton Rouge. We have our alumni watch. We go on the sideline, check the team out. We eat with Coach Kelly after. Coach Kelly opens up for questions. We ask him tons of questions. CL, I'm going to ask you to give me some questions. Mario, you're a friend of the show. You too. Lil Chris, I know you watching in the other room. You get your questions together too, because I would definitely ask. And look, y'all, we're going to take a quick break. Mario, you in a big rush? Mario, going to hang around. When we come back, the 5 things that I'm looking for at this practice, right? And we'll go over a couple of talking points about this LSU team. Y'all don't go anywhere, baby. That's right, a Gordon McKernan law firm. Quick break. We'll be right back here on Inside the Trenches. Get Gordon. Get it done.
Get it
Hello,
done.
somebody.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
Inside the trenches.
Inside the trenches.
Dentro de las trincheras.
And just like that, we are back, baby. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank y'all for joining in the show. It's Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon, Big Favorite. And once again, y'all, we want to thank our new sponsor, the Gordon McKernan Law Firm and attorneys. Y'all be sure if y'all have any car injuries, y'all can even DM this show. You know what I'm talking about? Get Gordon.
And get it done.
Better believe it. Hello, somebody. So shouts out to the Gordon McKernan Law Firm. We got these nice little waters right here. And I don't have to give y'all the number. Y'all walk out here, y'all gonna see a Gordon sign. You go down the street, you're gonna hear a Gordon sign. Just let them know that you heard about him right here on Inside the Trenches. So yeah, y'all, let's stick with these Tigers, baby. It's week 0 for us, right? We ain't playing, but we got, our last little practice. As I mentioned, I've been looking forward to this the last few years. Coach Kelly has been a coach. He's been inviting us out to the practices. All the former players come eat. It's usually like Mike Anderson's or something like that for the dinner.
Nice.
Try to save CL. It'd be easy to get the shrimps and fishing over there.
Yeah, well, y'all know I'm on an all-plate team, so.
I get your plate over
and
there.
I like Mike Anderson. I really like Mike Anderson's and Gonzalez. So.
Yep.
Shouts out to Mike
they all over. Well, they don't give them too many shots out.
Oh, yeah. Well,
hello,
if they don't know we eating, they ain't going to let us have us cheating.
So, but it has really been giving me, this game, y'all, has really been giving me perspective on this team. It just has. This practice, should I say, this is when I discovered that Ashton Stamps was ready. As a kid, we've been training for years. Shouts out to Robbie Green as well at Dynamic Performance. He has been doing an excellent job at converting him to cornerback, and now he's one of the top cornerbacks in the SEC. And it's also an opportunity, y'all, to just kind of get a feel for the team and the vibe. Now, got 5 things that I'm looking for, and y'all feel free to chime in and, get y'all thoughts. But, of course, the first area is the quarterback room, right? You have Gary Nussmeier, in my opinion, could potentially be, in 5 years, the 3rd Heisman
Speak
winning
on
quarterback.
Speak on him.
Crazy.
At LSU. Like, the fact that he's in the conversation, Mario, is something that's crazy. I'll come to you first. You have Drew out there. You have Carson Beck somewhere probably at 8, 9, 10, who knows. You have Sellers. You have Arch Manning. This class, I think, in probably my opinion, and probably a few more people's opinion as well, is a more talented quarterback class than this past draft. So your thoughts, maybe 3rd, 2nd name for the Heisman, and Gary Nussmeier.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a good debate. I've been talking to a lot of South Carolina fans because I think they made preseason first team lists, and I believe it was Sellers getting first team quarterback over Garrett Nussmeier, and he's really good. Like, the ceiling on this kid is really good, but the experience of Garrett Nussmeier to come in his first season, put up 4,000 yards, however many touchdowns he threw, and you've seen even at LSU, the leaps these guys take from their first year as a starter to their second year. Look at Jaden Daniels. Look at Joe Burrow. Even going back to Zach Mettenberger. He was a lot better. Yeah, he was a lot better his second year. So as an LSU fan with a really good offensive staff, I know I'm mean to Brian Kelly sometimes, but he can coach quarterbacks. You should be really excited about the production Garrett Nussmeier is going to bring and all the wins that he could potentially bring. The one thing he needs to improve on is getting a feel for running the ball. I think he's way too predictable in the pocket sometimes. They run zone read sometimes, and defensive end doesn't even flinch. He doesn't even think about Garrett Nussmeier on these plays. So that element, I think he needs to work on a little bit just to make himself less predictable. But on paper, he's definitely, arguably, with guys like Arch and Sellers, the best quarterback in the conference. So I'm excited to watch all those guys, and it's definitely going to be a stronger quarterback draft class.
Yeah. I'm actually a fan of the quarterback. It's Monday's brain. His name is it's escaping me. The Florida
Lagway.
Yeah.
DJ
And
Lagway.
unfortunately, is dealing with a little injury right now. We're all aware of Arch, and the publicity has followed him. What chances do you give a Nussmeier in actually winning the Heisman?
Really good chances. I think he's like the 3rd shortest odds or something right now because of the history at LSU, and because even if, let's say, a quarterback at a smaller school has like bigger numbers, if LSU has the team success when it comes to the voters, I feel like Nussmeier is going to get the nod there. So definitely worth a little sprinkle, I think, if you're an LSU fan. But in my opinion, you better do it soon, because when the season starts, if he starts having these good games, those odds are going to get a lot shorter. You're not going to win as much money. So from a betting perspective, I think you better get on that soon, because I think he has a legitimate chance to win the Heisman Trophy.
I do believe that as well. He does. I mean, the numbers from last year, I think that's the first thing that sticks out. Over 4,000 yards. His receiving core got stronger. The support of his defense has gotten better, which leads me to number 2 on the list, the D-line. This is year 1 for new coach, my old teammate, Kyle Williams.
Yep.
Kyle was very successful as an NFL player. He's even saw some success on the high school coaching level, got the opportunity of a lifetime. We were looking for that same fabric of a coach to come on the staff. Coach Bo Davis gets a call from Kellen Moore, takes that job. Kyle Williams gets a call from Coach Brian Kelly. Coach Kelly gave him a call, baby. and now he's on the staff. Me and Kyle talk a lot. We've actually talked more in recent times here in the last few months than we were as teammates in Buffalo, not at whatchamacallit, at LSU. But the D-line, I mean, right now you're looking at, can't think his name, that little Monday brain again. I mean, my bro, but he's behind the other kid, D-Tack, I think 99. I'm going to pull it up. But the D-line is stout. You have, I mentioned Peyton coming over from Florida State. We have the young man from Florida, Palburn. He's going to make some noise this year, and we have rotation up front on the defensive line. CL, I'll come to you first with the D-line because this is inside the trenches.
Come on.
Depth really gonna matter for this D-line this year. I mean, we could think back to when me and you was first doing this thing by D-Day. Shouts out to D-Day.
Shouts out to D-Day.
And you had guys like, what's my boy, Big Gilmore, Big Christian Lockature. Sorry for butchering your name right now. Monday Brain and Real News, right? And they didn't have no rotation.
Right.
Like Ed was struggling, but now you got all these guys. What's your thoughts on their D-line?
Well, shouts out to LSU because last year there was a dust up about Coach Kelly and the university not necessarily going out and buying players. And I don't think it is per se buying players. I think it's identifying. I mean, because let's be honest, now that the NIL is here in college football, these are pro athletes. You get paid to do a certain job, you're a pro. So now it's not even about buying players. It's about identifying a need, and it's free agency in college. I think Coach Kelly has softened his heart in that stance and have brought in some guys. We just interviewed a class of 26 monster that will be coming to LSU soon. So with that being said, they actually now address the defensive line as well as other positions, not just with a need, but, actually money or NIL or recruiting. So I'm happy for Coach Kelly. My question is to Coach Kelly is this D-line have enough depth to make a difference in the about to say NFC, Monday Brain, in the SEC? Because we understand week 1, Clemson truly has a professional defensive line.
It's Bernard Gooden. He came from Wake Forest. Before then, he was at South Florida. Production-wise, he did have a total of 21 tackles, 14 solo, with a whopping 10 tackles for loss. So those numbers are well. So, Mario, when we speak of the depth of LSU's D-line,
You love to see that. You love to see guys at big name schools that have production like that. No offense, not relying on guys from like Southeastern or like smaller schools like that. So I like to see them be more proactive in the transfer portal. And I want to see what they can get from these young guys, especially with the new coach and Kyle Williams that you guys mentioned. Really, really good coach on the high school level for a long time. And he had gotten job offers before. I know because I covered the Ruston Central game in the state championship. That's who Central defeated. Kyle Williams' defense, 42-0 shutout. Central won the game. But, yeah, had to mention that. His last ever high school game. But
sorry, coach.
But he saw the opportunity at LSU and likes what they have, what they're working with there. So I think that change can really benefit that position. And you guys mentioned the guys they brought in from the transfer portal. Compared to the last couple of years, they've been a lot more proactive. So hopefully you see some success there.
I'm gonna keep it going. My next
and get
area
it done.
and get it done. LSU's DBs. Right now, you got Ashton Stamps, who had 2 years of experience. We do get Delane out of the transfer portal. He comes in, have him listed as a starter. Last year, he had 4 picks. 7 pass breakups, 34 solo tackles.
From
very
V-Tech,
productive.
huh?
Yeah, it came from Virginia Tech. When you look at this, LSU's defensive backfield. Now me, I got my old up close and personal look. When I trained my D lineman out there at Elite, big shouts out to Elite Training Academy in Baton
Definitely.
Rouge. Coach Raymond has the DBs in there. And let me tell y'all something. He looks just like Robert Meacham, right? But taller, stockier. DJ Pickett. Bruh, dog.
I personally have no other comments on any other DB for LSU except Pickett. I've known about this young man before he became the number one DB in recruiting. I was told, the one thing when you know a special player has touched not just Baton Rouge, but when you know a special player has touched the ground anywhere, it's not a social media thing. It's a word of mouth thing.
Yep.
In the minute this young man touched the football field in Baton Rouge, I started hearing things about him. The fact that he's pro size, the fact that he seems SEC ready day one. They don't have him penciled in as a starter. And I think just respect to guys like Action Stamps, gentlemen that have put in some time. But for this young man not to be on the field week one against Clemson is a travesty of all travesties. Look for DJ Pickett to be out there making plays for the LSU Tigers.
No, I agree 100%. Number one, perfect prototype, like you said, physically being 6'5", whatever he is, playing that position.
Right.
And then the perfect name for a defensive back, Pickett. Are you
Pickett,
kidding me?
yeah,
Pickett every
catchy,
single
yeah.
time. And you like it. Like you said, the reports have been good early on, which you like. I feel like you've seen guys like this, highly touted coming in from out of state, and they don't live up to that. But from the start, the returns have been good, and I'm positive he's going to find his way onto the field really soon.
He better.
Yeah, that's Tabor Cooley. I do think that he's going to figure out a way to get in that rotation, whether we go heavy DBs, have him playing more. If they get trips, maybe have him covering one of those guys. But the size is real, and he's making noise. We do get Cooley. He had 3 picks last year. He was, we 2-3 schools now. So NC State and then Maryland, and then got his way here in the transfer portal. Couple more minutes here, guys. I want to talk about this electrifying wide receiving core. That's why they're 4th on my list. Average 40-yard time, I want to say it's like a 4.37. Insane. Xavier Thomas. You got Aaron Anderson. You got Lil Fat Payson out of Edna Call.
Yeah.
Speaking of Edna Call, you got Manchild been making noise out there.
Megatron.
So yeah, I'm excited about them. Mario, I'll come to you first. When you think about the past LSU wide receiving cores, even the ones I played on, the ones when you were in college, when you had Odell Beckham and you had guys like Jarvis Landry. For me, it was Craig Davis. It was Dwayne Bowe, early Doucette. These guys are like those guys, but their speed is on steroids, right?
Yeah.
Don't say
Talk
that.
about that receiving core. Not real steroids, just the fast ones.
Yeah, just modern day LSU. And not to bring down the mood, but I feel like I had to say rest in peace, Kyron Lacey, every time this comes up because he was so good, and I feel like he deserves that credit. Crazy is not with us no longer, but it's just continuing that tradition. It's like you said, when we were in school, it was like that with the defensive backs. You always had good players there, but you had one like transcendent NFL first-round pick player there, and that's going to be the case at the receiver room again this year. I think you got some depth. I think some guys have an opportunity to really show themselves, and I'm excited to see what Trey Green could do this season. I think with his physical stature, with just another offseason of development, he can really have a productive year for LSU as well. But that's par for the course, man. It used to be DBU. Now I think it's wide receiver U.
Real talk.
And I've went on a record to say that I believe that this year's wide receiver core is probably one of the best wide receiver cores in LSU history. And yes, I am speaking over the Justin Jeffersons and the Chase and the Brian Thomas. A lot of people just don't realize that Aaron Anderson was 2nd in the SEC in yards last year. A lot of people don't realize that Mr. Green might be the best athlete on the team of LSU at the tight end position. A lot of people don't know about the young man Brown that transferred from Kentucky. the fastest player in the SEC, quite possibly in college football.
Bruh.
So that's just 3 out of the 6 guys that will see the field.
You said
this
Nick
year.
Anderson from Oklahoma?
No.
That's another
Right,
one.
right.
It's just
So
crazy.
Anderson.
Right. So
Right.
it's just, and not to mention these other guys. It's just that these guys are so touted and have so much talent that's flying under the radar. I can't wait to see. I can't wait for them to prove me right.
No doubt. And look, y'all, before we get to our last position I'm checking out for, I want to mention our ace in the hole, Juwan Johnson. He's going to be somebody we're going to see, ever since, obviously, we've lost a couple of players in our running back room. So I see him coming in and being that extra piece of an athlete. But speaking of running back room, that's fifth on now. You got Caden Durham coming back, Harlan Berry coming back, early development. We're looking to see what he'll do. Fellas, we got about maybe 20 seconds apiece. Y'all thoughts on the LSU's running back room, Mario?
I think Caleb Jackson being slept on a little bit. His freshman year a couple years ago, he had some pop every time he touched the ball. So I think with some opportunity this year, he can prove he's one of the better players in this room. Just not a lot of people talking about him right now.
I was the biggest fan of Durham last year. I'm still a big fan of him. But put the ball in the hands of number 8 and a Harlan Berry.
Well, look at it like this, y'all. Next week, same time, same place, 6:30 p.m. right here at Loyola Studios. It's Inside the Trenches right here on ESPN New Orleans. But look, we're going to be talking about LSU versus Clemson, baby. Matchups for next week's game. Week 1 is right around the corner. Once again, big shouts out to our new sponsor, Gordon McKernan Law Firm. Remember, get Gordon, get it done.
Get it done.
Big shouts out to Health Nut System. Dr. Kendra, you the real one. Y'all visit stillbody.org to find out more information about her products. And y'all know Conquer Sports had it popping all summer, baby. Same thing for the fall. Visit visit csportspros.com for more information with Conquer Sports Pros. You're looking for recruiting assistance, NIL assistance. You're looking to get training, development. Conquer Sports Pros. Visit csportspros.com. Well, y'all, shouts out for CL Nola, Mario, little Chris out there doing his thing. Hannah Montana, Hannah back in the building, Damian.
Daniel CH.
Taylor Gang in the building. UP was happening. We got the Loyola students back in the building. And look, the energy is here. Y'all, fall is here. Y'all don't go nowhere. Oh, y'all can go somewhere right now. Go watch that Bengals game. It's 14-14, Jaden Daniels versus Joe Burrow. We love that matchup. But same time, same place, next week, 6:30 p.m. Thank y'all so much. Have a blessed week. It's Inside the Trenches right here on ESPN Baton Rouge. Hello, somebody.
Inside the Trenches.